Hi, this is Grant Schnarr, Senior Chaplain at Bryn Athyn College. It is Wednesday, April 8th, and this message is for college students, faculty, staff, and also anyone else who is interested. We are in the midst of the COVID-19 virus right now. Things are in some ways getting worse, and there is some hope, as the professionals say, at the same time, but right in the middle of it. And this also happens to be the Holy Week, where we're celebrating Easter and the Lord rising from the dead. So there's a lot of hope and also confusion, just like there was back then. If you think about it, I know for me, so many of us, that you look back and you go, wow, this is so crazy. This is so different than anything I would have ever imagined or expected. Think about what's going on, how life has changed, even if it's just for now, and just how strange it is, how strange life has become. And there may even be a sense that at some point it's going to get normal. You know, it's going to go back to something we're way more familiar with than we are right now. But we really don't know what that time is or when. It just came upon us. Now, I think that kind of thing also just rings true with our spiritual lives in general. Swedenborg talks about when we go through temptation, we feel like the Lord isn't present with us anymore. Oftentimes, the deeper spiritual temptations that we go through, the choices and values that we have inside between good and evil and selfishness and giving and love, often also are triggered, so to speak, by external circumstances. You know, when we don't feel good, when something has been taken away from us, when we're surprised by something, where we're challenged by external circumstances or by people, that's when the real deeper temptations come in. That's when we feel, what's happening, what's going on. So, you know, this idea that we're surprised and that we've got some work to do and some faith to have is something that happens all throughout our lives. But right now, it just seems to be it is so heightened by what we're going through. Well, this fits so well with the Easter story. It's perfect to talk about this in the Lord's promise of hope. He tells us we're going to go through some stuff, but then he promises hope, and we've got to hold on to that hope and that faith because it's real. Looking at all the Gospels, it's really fascinating how many times the Lord told his disciples that he was going to be taken, tried, and crucified, and then he would rise again. And it seems every time they just didn't get it. I mean, remember Peter even once said, "Far be it from you, Lord, this isn't going to happen to you." Jesus' response was pretty tough. "Get behind me, Satan, for you are mindful of the things of man and not of the things of God." But even there, I don't know how much Peter may have gotten it a little bit, but most of the disciples, well, what's that all about? And you can imagine, if you look at the disciples at that time, what they had seen. I mean, with the Lord, they had seen people, thousands of people fed from very little food. They had seen people healed. They had seen people brought back from the dead. They'd seen all kinds of miracles that the Lord performed. And they felt very taken care of. Listen, I mean, they even knelt down in the boat when Jesus calmed the storm and said, worshiped him as their Lord and their God. So you can imagine, well, life's good. Are you kidding? How could it be any better? And you might hear something that, well, that's not always how it's going to work out. Something's going to happen. It can be real bad, but have faith. It's going to turn good again. Kind of going like, I just don't get that. I don't think about it. I'm just going to go on with this life the way it is. Wow, this is something else. It's an adventure. Now, I really think that's true, and I'm sorry to say, college students, but with young people, in the sense of feeling somewhat invincible in a lot of ways, and feeling like life is just going to be great and go out there. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people, a total optimism, a total comfort in life as it is, and good. That's where it's supposed to be. But it is hard because in the sense of like when you're told something like, it's not always going to be like this. Tough things can happen in your life. Tough things will happen, but you'll get through. It's hard to hear. It's even easy to say, far be it from me, that's not going to happen to me. And for some of us, maybe we're way more in touch with, yeah, stuff does happen, and I wish it wouldn't. But there is this, I don't want to call it a warning from the Lord, but a teaching piece from the Lord that be prepared for those darker times. It's through those times that we really learn to have faith in him. It's through those times that we grow, that we make the right choices. And through those times, the light is going to shine. Really good things are going to happen if you hold on. So here's one of those times where he talked to his disciples. This was for the third time. And he says, "Now Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, and on the way he took the 12 aside and said to them, 'We are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him and put him to death. He will be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the third day, he will be raised to life.'" So he tells this bleak story, but on the third day, he will rise from the dead. Now, when the Lord was taken prisoner, as we know, the disciples did not go, "Oh yeah, this is going to happen." They fled. They were confused. There are only a few, like we know that Peter followed Jesus into where the Sanhedrin were and was somewhere or another nearby or connected to the trial where he denied the Lord 3 times. But everybody scattered, for the most part, just scattered. They were scared, they hid, and this happened after his crucifixion as well, that they stayed hidden in their homes, totally baffled what's happening. And that's when the Lord rose from the tomb. And what I love the most is the women who followed the Lord. They were the ones that came out. They were the ones that had courage. They were the ones that made the choice that we don't understand, but we're going to go and we're going to take care of the Lord's body and prepare it how it should be prepared for burial. So they went. They faced the Romans. They took the chance. And here's what happened. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices that they might go anoint Jesus' body. Very early, on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, who will roll away from the entrance the stone of the tomb? But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in white, a white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. "Do not be alarmed," he said. "You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as I have told you." There it was. They were the first. The angel said, "He's not here. He has risen." And very, very soon after that, as we know, the Lord appeared to Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene ran to tell the disciples. The Lord appeared to all his disciples on several occasions and commissioned them to all go forward and teach all nations about the good news, about his life, about his death, and about his rebirth into eternity. That's the focus that I offer you. That's the focus the Lord offers you this day, that in the darkness, darkness will come. There will be surprise on all levels in our life. And yet there is that part within us. Maybe it's the Marys, the Salome within us, that faithful part of us that won't give up, that keeps our eyes on serving the Lord. We don't know what it's going to be like. We don't know how it's going to work out, but we're going to serve the Lord. We're going to do good things. We're going to reach out to people in this time of need. We're going to bring comfort, even when comfort seems very impossible. And we are going to bring love. And with that, the Lord will appear to us. The darkness will end. He is risen. He is no longer here. Go and tell his disciples to go to Galilee. There I will meet you.